And this is why they turned out this way. I'm like, dang it! Everything else I could do right, but just that one thing was scarring enough. Hello and welcome to another Dead Pixel. We're a podcast about video games, anime, entertainment, life, a little bit of everything in between. I'm your host as always, Joe, and with me today we have here the gentleman who knows everything about Nintendo, Nick. How you doing, Nick?
Yeah, I do know everything about Nintendo. They don't want me to know a lot of it, well, let's just say I know where the bodies are buried, so they kind of just have to live with it. But yeah, I had 8 uncles that all worked at Nintendo. Um, three of them were the only non-Japanese people to work at Nintendo of Japan consecutively. Don't worry, they have different last names than me, but they've always fed me, the information that nobody else wants to, that no one else gets. So I always know everything before it happens, and um, which is, but I have to throw people off the trail because sometimes I make like a guess that's wrong. Like when I said that the Switch was going to be $500, like that was true, but then they changed it, and so I had, but like right before I was going to say, it's like no, I'll stick with the wrong answer so that people don't know how much I really know. But yeah, you've outed me now, so thanks for that, Joe.
I mean, you might as well tell the people out there what Mario tattoo you have on your lower back, just to be
It's
completely transparent.
it's on the way lower back. It's actually between where the lower back ends and where the leg begins. Yeah, I'm not going to tell people about that though anymore. So it's
Yeah, it's where the true Mario secrets are hidden. All right, guys. Well, yeah, we're gonna go straight into what we've been playing. All right. So, last week I talked about enjoying a little game called The Precinct. Said it wasn't really, it wasn't anything like groundbreaking or anything like that. But I went ahead and I really thought I wasn't going to platinum it. Turns out I platinumed it. It's just along the journey. I had completed most of the tedious stuff, and it was just one or two simple mopping up, trophies. But my thoughts on the story were it was a fun little ride. Like I mentioned before, it was like a solid six in my opinion. I think it was fun to pass the time. It didn't do anything like egregious, but it didn't do anything groundbreaking. I was almost lamenting the fact that it was very close to doing a lot of things well, but unfortunately they just made a lot of little slip ups, which held it from being actually really good. If they were able to tighten up, some of the driving mechanics or the shooting a little bit, because the shooting was most definitely meant for mouse and keyboard. My workaround for the shooting was just to uh, crank up the aim assist because it was a floating cursor in a isometric plane, which I always felt like was kind of odd. So, working around some of that stuff, and if they had tweaked that to make it feel a little more comfortable, I think it'd been really nice. Uh, they did some weird stuff that I thought was just kind of funny and like novel, which was I didn't realize it for the longest time because I just don't look down at my controller. But I had paused it while I was in the middle of a police chase and my sirens were on, and I looked at my since I'm playing this on the PlayStation, the the controller was flashing both sides red and blue, and I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was just like a little fun gimmick or cheeky thing. But outside of that, like I said, the game was enjoyable, and by the time I was done with it, I'm like, oh yeah, I only have a handful of little collection quests, and so I just pulled up a quick guide, went, all right, help me find this stuff now. You know,
you may as well.
they
You're already
yeah, it
pretty
was
much
fun.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which it wasn't a big time sink, but the game was fun for what it was worth. Uh, yeah, and then recently I've been playing an old favorite with a friend called or Man of Madan.
Mm.
So it's part of the first entry of the Dark Pictures Chronicles, and that one was an interesting one because how do I put this? We when the first game first came out, my buddy and I were passing the controller back and forth, and I don't actually remember at this time if I think it was at what Supermassive Games. They really did the passing of the controller. I think they made it first for this game because everyone was doing it with Until Dawn. Essentially, it was like not really built in, and so they made this whole passing the controller uh, mode for this. Later on, or they might have came out with it right away too. Is if two people own the same copy of the game, you can then play simultaneous, but you're playing as a different set. So there's always two groups separated from each other almost at any given time. Uh, in the base game, when you're scuba diving, as they're coming up, you see an explosion on a boat, and then you have to make the decision of like, whether or not you uh, go up fast or you decompress properly, things of that nature. Well, with when you play two players over the internet, the other person you're playing with gets to play what's happening on the boat. So then you can actually see what causes the explosion or something like that, and it makes for an enjoyable experience. But since you two are playing simultaneous together, you can't you're experiencing two different things, and therefore when there's a lull in your spot or you find something interesting in your end and you're trying to talk about it, you might be interrupting someone in the middle of a dialogue sequence on their spot.
Oh.
So it's just like you can't if it's different than playing if you're playing the two people traveling together, because you can both, oh yeah, it's my turn to make a decision, your turn to make a decision, oh no, there's a quick time event for both of us, stuff like that, that's fine, which happens sometimes in the game. But when you're playing as two separate teams, then you're like, "Oh man, I just found out," and then you're gonna have to tell your friend, like, "No, shut up, shut up. I'm in the middle of something. Stop." you know, like I have to pay attention here now. So it's a little messy, and you can tell the age on the game now at this point because some of the connection and mechanics are a little weird. At one point, like it transitioned from the two people my friend was playing, and then I assumed they were supposed to play the other person that was in my party,
Mm.
but it went to a black screen, and then they're like, "Yeah, I can't. I'm not seeing anything at all." And then he goes, "Wait, wait." The little wiggle joystick was on their screen. Like nothing's happening when I wiggle the joystick, which as I played with them later on, I just let go of the controller for a second, and turn out, sure enough, the wiggle joystick was a like, just hey, don't you are controlling this person, you can move. But apparently they got black screened or like multiple times to the point where like, okay, we reloaded a whole segment just to get to this one point again, and then like, yep, sure enough, I'm in a hallway. Nope, now it went black. Okay, uh, I played a little, and eventually I played a little further to a smaller checkpoint, reloaded it. He's like, "Oh, I can see stuff now, but I can't move." And it's like, "Oh, wait, wait." And I just got shot in the head. And it's just like, "All right." I'm like, "Um, sure." So then we reloaded a third, like for like a fourth time or something like that. We spent like 45 minutes on what should have been like a 15-minute sequence.
Mm.
Um, and then eventually they did work and they were able to control that person, but it's just like, yeah, it's kind of jank. It's it's one of those things that's like true to form for an old horror game, I guess. It's like, yeah, it's kind of half the scariness is of it not working properly.
Mm.
So, but for those who don't know, Man of Madan, it being a like Supermassive Games, is uh, a video which you play with quick time events essentially.
Okay.
It's very fun in a lot of sense. They do a very good job facial capturing, and this one just happens. This is Dark Picture Chronicles, Man of Medan episode one essentially, and has to do with a bunch of, I don't know, kids in their early 20s, going out for a they're trying to find a dive site for just an old airplane or something that got shot down. They find clues to um, alleged gold, and along the way, they get kidnapped by pirates.
Mm.
Um, all of which have like the pirates seem to have I don't know, more like a vibe from all right, so they're in the Pacific Ocean, and I'm not exactly sure where these pirates are supposed to be from because they give them the attitude and the look of like Somali pirates. So
Mm.
it's just like, wait a minute, wait a minute. Uh, if anything, you'd be trying to make them look more like Southeast Asian. So it was kind of weird. Yeah, it's or you feel like you're getting something like, oh yeah, you're supposed to be from the Bahamas or something because your captain herself. She seems like she would be from like with the accent, something like that. But they're all speaking French, so I'm like, all right, I guess they might be from Vietnam, maybe. I mean, I know it's weird.
But that
It's
is a
not
strange
a
choice. I mean, maybe they're just going for a certain kind of look, and they just we're like, well, this is what a pirate looks like. It's like, yeah, but the area doesn't really make sense for that. It's kind of
Yeah,
strange.
it's no, it's it was one of the things. Also, in this, we only played a little bit of the game years ago, and then we finished the previous game we were working on, which was that Saints Row remake,
Oh yeah.
which turns out wasn't that bad. Like it by the end of
I've
the game,
I've been saying it for years. I've been saying it for
yeah,
years.
but at the same time, I was playing on the last gen system,
Yeah.
which was sad, and also it was janky for the online components when it first came out. But
Yeah.
yeah, we finished that. That's why we went to Man of Madan, and we're having an okay time with it. But at the same time, it's just like I remember the first time we played it, some of the button prompts weren't too intuitive. I think like one of the things we failed right away was it shows like you have quick time events, so you're like press X or square because we're playing on the PlayStation, and the first time we hit an X, it's like it said press X, so we smashed X, and then turns out it's like the segment where there's a heartbeat meter. So you're supposed to time the heartbeat on time, but we saw X pop up, so we just went smash X and like we failed the sequence. We're like, what? Yeah, like um, that was years ago.
uh,
I kinda remember that coming into this, but it's funny because when we're playing together with there's sequences where, like, your 2 people are trying to hide from a third party or third person, and you're holding your breath, or you're trying to be quiet, and you're timing your heartbeat to the meter, and we both succeed. My friend and I both succeed, no problem. But then on the top of the screen, it says, "The other person failed." And we're like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "Way to fail." And then they're like, "It says you failed." And I did it multiple times to the point where, like, I think the 3rd or 4th time this heartbeat meter comes in, we time it right. We're hitting the buttons, and you know what? I'm just gonna see, do they want us to press and hold the button from one heartbeat to the other, like, bump, bump? And so I'm like, I held it and instant failed, and it's like, and we dropped our stuff and ran. I'm like, "Okay, I'm reloading this now."
dang it.
It's
They're gaslighting you. They're
yeah,
like,
that wouldn't be too surprising. That would be, right up their alley. They did some fun stuff. It was kinda neat because we were playing together,
mm,
um, or we're talking, we're chatting, I see their character jump into my screen, but on their screen, they're fighting, like, they get to see the hallucination, and it reminded me of, like, the original Kane and Lynch, where
mm.
they thought they were fighting a monster, and I'm like, "Dude, it's me. I'm literally looking at you." And then he goes, "And then you just tried attacking me, and I just literally quick timed out of that fight." He's like, "Oh, alright, then I'm not gonna hit anything anymore." And they just let go of the controller, and then the character freaks out and runs away. It's just like so it's like they do interesting things, like, if you're playing it as a first person, story, like, everything that you're experiencing is more tricky and more, like, fools with you more because
Mhm.
they're trying to change your perspective. It's one of those, simple horror movie twists where, like, "I'm gonna fight the bad guy or this monster," and then the next thing you know, they wake up and they're like, "Oh, no, that's my friend that I just, shanked," or something. So I think that's the vibe they're going for. The Yeah, once again, their newer games have been pretty solid too, like the Quarry.
Mhm.
Um, but this playing something this old, I guess, you can kind of see, and then also being a little bit more budgeted is the polite way to put it. I mean, it's still a fun game, still looks amazing. Sean Ashmore is in this. It was Iceman from the old X-Men and stuff like that. So but for us, he was only in it for a little bit because
Mhm.
we did a thing, I guess maybe correctly, where they disappeared, which we never did first time around. We never got them to escape, and so this time we did it so they could escape, and we're like, all right, that was a cameo, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you do things correctly, then Sean Ashmore is never going to be in your life.
Yeah, right. So the Control universe, right? The
Yeah.
Alan Wake universe. That's what we want now. But anyways, yeah, it's weird to talk about this older game. I know, but Halloween's around the corner, so we figured we'd go for something a little more. My buddy and I are trying to play a multiplayer game that's a little more spooky.
Gosh, yeah,
Uh,
Halloween is just around the corner. Wild.
yeah, and a lot of these games, I think the whole series right now, which is like there's 4 of them of the Dark Picture Chronicles, they are available for PlayStation Plus extras and up, premium members. So that's one of the reasons why we gave it a shot. We, it's one of those things that like when it comes to this time of year, it's like there's not a lot of really good horror games that you can play with your friends. Like that's the thing. It's usually it's like a shared experience. Hand over the controller to them on the couch or something like that, which this version does have. And then I believe it even lets you pick the characters you want to play or something like that, or you have a preference of characters. like, yeah, I'm gonna pick whenever this comes on screen, I'll be playing this person or that person, which makes it a little more consistent.
Nice.
When you're playing online, or like my buddy and I are now, what happens is it does a we're randomly gonna throw you to whomever we feel like. So 1 minute, I'm playing as the captain, and my friend is playing as the nerdy little brother character. And then when they switches to the next scene, next thing you know, like he's playing as the girlfriend, and I'm playing as now I'm playing as the little brother character. And I'm like, okay, this is I kind of wish it was a little more consistent in who you get because unless if you're constantly I end up focusing on the screen and I don't pay attention to what's written on the top of the screen. But that's every time it switches scenes or whatever. And if you do change characters, it'll flash to tell you so and so is playing as so and so. So your gamer tag playing as whatever character.
Yeah, that seems
Uh,
like it would be pretty jarring. Like, I mean, I understand like switching characters, but like switching back and forth and like that just seems like it would need you to, if it's going to switch characters on you, it would need to give you a bit more of a wind up and a longer session with the, it's like, okay, you're going to play 3 levels with this character and then 3 levels with that character, you know, or some period of time so that you get a bit of a sense of rhythm every time you know, go into that character.
but one of the things they do have is a free DLC for the game where it lets you. So if you're just playing it as a single player experience, like I mentioned, you get to play as set characters, and you don't get to see how the other side what happens in the story. Well, they have a DLC which then gives you that other side, which is a nice thing, and it's free. So it's like I mentioned before, traditionally you'd be playing and you're like, oh yeah, we're playing the scuba divers in that portion. And then now it lets you have the experience of you can play of what happened on the boat and why was there an explosion.
Mm.
So that's a good part, and especially since it makes sense because they already have all these scenes and assets for it because they made it for the two-player experience when you're playing online. So that makes it's just only fair that you can get the full story as it were or the experience. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun little game, a little janky, but if you have like the PlayStation Plus extras or premium, totally worth giving a shot. Or I'm pretty sure you can find the game. The games go on sale quite frequently as either individually or as a set,
Mhm.
and they usually get one or two big names attached to each of these little story segments. I think it was um, the next one in the series, which I'm blanking on the name now. It has the actor who plays Eustace from the Chronicles of Narnia movies. Who they are the ones who played in how was it that Netflix video game the Jabberwock.
Yeah.
Um, it's the they end up playing like a programmer in that. Is watching this person. I'm blanking on their name too, but watching them climb the ranks of movies. Uh, they were recently in the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 film,
Yes. That guy is
and
pretty, he's a pretty decent actor, yeah.
yeah, so they ended up yeah, it's funny because my friend didn't know who they were, and I'm like, there was a movie called like The Millers or something like that, where a family's
Mm.
smuggling drugs over like in like an RV or something. He's like, oh yeah, that movie. I'm like, yeah, it's that boy. That boy is like, but now they're grown up quite a bit since, and they're like, oh
He was
okay.
he was also in the movie Midsummer. He was in that as well, and he did a pretty good job there as well too.
Yeah, Will Poulter.
Okay, yeah.
Huh. So, but yes, yeah, Midsummer, and that was the thing is I didn't realize he was in Midsummer until after um, um, the Black Mirror, bit, and I'm like, oh, okay. And it's funny because I didn't actually know what Midsummer was at the time at all,
Mm.
which is also a good thematic thing to watch around this time of year. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
but all right, yeah, enough. That's pretty much what I've been playing. Just a bunch of little small things, having a good time with it. Doing a little cleanups here and there. Uh, I think this time of year, it's people love horror games. My spouse, on the other hand, absolutely hates them. Um, cannot stand the games themselves, but they will kind of enjoy me watching me play it. So it's just like it's always a thing of like, well. let me see what I can get away with playing. But now it's like I have kids, and I'm like, all right, my kid
Mm.
walks in like watching me play like Dead Space. I'm gonna have some therapy to do.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put a dollar in the therapy jar. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is why they turned out this way. I'm like, "Dang it. Everything else I could do right, but just that one thing was scarring enough." Uh, no, but multiplayer games are harder to find, especially in the horror genre, and unfortunately, if you do something like, "Oh, yeah, Dead Space 3, that's multiplayer, that's all action, that's not a horror game, that's just action." So, it's very disappointing. But the Dark Picture, Chronicles are, everything they do is pretty fun as a whole, and they've done a good job about making their stuff multiplayer. So, alright. Nick, I know you're still recovering from a lot of your travels and stuff like that, so you didn't get a chance to do a lot of playing, right?
No, I've only been able to play a little bit more of Clash Royale, and so there's not really been any advancement there. Um, uh, I I am very close to beating a game that's going to become very relevant. So I've been putting some time into that. Um, but for now, yeah, I really wish I had more to report. But I am working on stuff, but it's just it's not come to fruition yet. But very soon, next week, should have at least one big thing to talk about, and hopefully more.
All right. All right. Well, I'm going to talk about a quick little series that we had watched a while ago, but then I finally, it was one of those season two animes that came out this year, and I hadn't talked about it yet at all because there were some movies involved in the middle that I'm like, well, I need to see if these are even relevant because so much of anime relates to, hey, we created a movie. And it's literally not important at all. It's just a spin-off or it's a retelling, a recap of the thing. Um, Turns out the movies are relevant.
Mm.
Some are maybe missable, but more or less they're all relevant. And that is the Rascal Doesn't Dream series. So the first one was Rascal Doesn't Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, and that came out back in 2018. I forget when it was. I don't know when exactly it was dubbed, uh, but that one, like, I think Netflix brought it out. Paid for the money to have that translated, and we talked about that series, and it was pretty good. It was a solid series, had a lot of fun, different ideas of, uh, quantum theory and stuff like that. Uh, for those who don't know anything about it, it is just simply, um, a boy who experiences what's called puberty syndrome, and it's essentially the manifestation of one's daydream to a certain extent, but it's almost like the monkey's paw thing of like, I don't want to be seen, and now literally you aren't physically seen kind of deal,
Mm.
or
Oh yeah, it's like the yeah finger curls in the monkey's paw. Yeah.
yeah, so it's not exactly the wish you want it to be, or like I don't want this time to end, and now you're stuck in a time loop,
Mm.
kind of thing. So season one is good. It's a good season. It's really solid. It's a fun watch. Then there's three movies in between. The first movie was done in 2019, and it was Rascal Doesn't Dream of a Dreaming Girl. Uh, that one had, and the thing is, these movies tend to explain a little bit more about the main series, and they also sprinkle in uh, little Easter eggs or little nods to the season to come. So it's kind of weird that way. So see, that film talks a lot about the main character ends up having um, Sakuta ends up having a one of his original delusions or dreams was he met this girl who was older, um, when he was going through rough time, and he saw an older high school girl on the beach. They had a meaningful conversation, and she becomes, like, his first love. He looks for her at that school that she's wearing the uniform to, and, she doesn't exist. So he's now in love with a fandom for the most part, and it's an older girl, so then it makes him have a older woman fetish, I guess, a preference. So, the this they do, relate to a little bit, and they talk about it in the season 1, but this film the first film talks more about that, goes into depth about that whole time gap and uh, that character, where they're from. It's about an hour and a half movie. It's like 89 minutes. It's really good. I actually really like this movie a lot. Um, it's it's a little bit all over the place emotional wise for the characters, but it kind of, if you see it from their point of view, I feel like it really adds a lot to it because as a spectator or as a certain like a fan of certain types of movies, you'd be like, oh no, this is your decision or this is your decision. It's easy, just do that, worry about that. But then you're like, well, if you're trying to put yourself in their shoes, you're like, you can see what the turmoil would be about and why things would be really difficult for them to choose. I think it's one of those movies that after watching the movie, it actually makes season one better.
Mm.
Um, but it's also, you kind of need to watch. You kind of have to really remember season one. Uh, at the very minimum, probably if you don't remember that much of it, at least rewatch the last episode of season one. But it really, this is a series as a whole. Binging is probably the best way to watch this series
Mm.
because there's so many side characters, so many other little stories, and they pull back forth. Like even it's just like, like, who is this person? Oh, I think I remember this person. And then you're just kind of, it's, you're trying to make things click. Granted, you don't necessarily need to know all these things, but it's one of those, like, you get a lot more out of it. It's kind of like when you watch like a good detective film or something like that, or a mystery, and you're like, oh, after multiple watchings, you're like, I get so much more out of it now because I've seen it multiple times. So I feel like with this series, the fresher the better. But having said that, it had been years since I've seen the season one, but I remembered quite a bit of it. But I did watch the last episode, and it did help me go into the first movie. The second movie is Rascal Doesn't Dream of a Sister Venturing Out, and this one's 73 minutes, and this one came out in 2023.
Mhm.
So, this one also continues the story nicely, where season one, a big chunk of the story has to revolve around his younger sister who became a shut-in, and why she became a shut-in, and uh, her efforts to trying to overcome her trauma. But the thing is, she also ended up having split personality. So this relates to the aftermath to all that, and uh, this, because the length of these kind of almost are like, like this one is the shortest film at 73 minutes, and you're like, all right, well, that's a little over, roughly about 3 episodes, and then the first movie being about 90 minutes, you're like, okay, well, you're looking at, a little over like 4 episodes in length. The last one is also 75 minutes, so you're like, okay, another three-ish episodes, so you're looking at 10 to, like roughly worth of content, 10 to 11 episodes worth of content. Like, so these three movies are like a missing season by itself. And they kind of follow the same formula as the series goes, because there's every couple of episodes is a new case, a new situation. So I'm like, all right. So I find that it is really helpful to watch um, to watch these movies, because the third movie is uh, Rascal Doesn't Dream of a Knapsack Kid, which is really weirdly, really oddly like translated.
Mhm.
But knapsack, like meaning like what he does is he sees his girlfriend, but as her movie star younger self, wearing the elementary school traditional Japanese backpack. Um, but that girl does, the her younger self doesn't know who he is, and she's almost like a red herring or like a premonition of what's to come, because that character starts to appear more often in the following season, but as a little like hint, nod, a little, like the a harbinger of something. And it's kind of hard to know exactly, because it's just every time they're just only in it for just a little bit in the following season. And I'm not going to go into spoilers or anything like that. Um, but the end of the the end of movie 2 and 3 for sure. After the credits roll, they give you just a little hint, a little snippet of what's to come. So the second movie of the sister venturing out, they actually kind of lead into the knapsack kid movie, and the knapsack movie ends after the post credit scene, then they actually lead into the very pretty much the very opening of season two. Season two shows roughly the same scene, but shortened. So you don't get as much from it. So it's kind of neat that way, that they intend these to be like a continuation, and it's completely integrated with the series. It's weird that they did it with the as this movie format. I wonder if it was actually more profitable for them, instead of trying to produce a whole season worth of content to be able to make these little, like uh, parts
Well,
to it.
they went 4 years between the second or the first movie and the second movie, and if you kind of total all this stuff up, it's really probably about maybe a little bit more than a 12 episode season. So they probably saw it as a it's like, well, we have these stories and they're not really worthy of a whole season arc, so we can make a movie length thing out of it and send that out, and make more money, like more efficiently. I think I think too. You're talking about COVID, between the first movie and the second movie, like literally like almost exactly. So I imagine that they probably got into COVID times and were like, you know what, let's wait a minute, and probably held off on finishing up that second movie until we were kind of past it. But yeah, it seems like I mean, these movies I need to watch, but it seems like it was a good idea for them. They seem to, based on the way you're talking about it, seems to fit this format a lot better than to try to stretch it out and not really get to tell the story that you want to tell, by trying to stretch it out, spread it over a full, 12 episode season.
Yeah, it's one of those rare cases where the it's like in the video game industry where the episodic content
Mm.
pans out,
Oh, yeah.
because most episodic content fail, like they never finish the series and stuff. The only real success story that screams success would be the Hitman current run of Hitman games, because no one really thought it was going to be that great, but then it did everything just right enough to really gain more momentum as the series went on. And in this case, it very much it kind of lets the fans get a little taste of something, get a little more story, brings the uh, the IP back into everyone's forefront, lets you resell your merch, rerun things, because that's always the weird thing is like, if you're walking by the gotcha machines, little gumball machines, or if you're at, you're like, well, those usually show what's current, or at least what's like pop culture favorites, so you'll always have like an Ultraman or a Godzilla, thing. But if there's a new series, usually the new series is out, or if they're remaking the series, relaunching it, then they'll produce some old stuff, making it new again. And when it comes to that, you're like, okay, well, we can always rerun new figurines, new characters, new and merch. Plus, by selling just the one movie as is, they're like, well, we can then try to get more money from the DVD sales and help fund our next, or, keep us afloat till the next project. Um, Plus, it's a really good way to gauge interest for the investors, or to try to make a point of, hey, we do have the fan base. Here's our numbers throughout, and then finally getting the newest season. So yeah, I'm really liking the new season. I'm doing everything dubbed with this series. I actually really like dubbed, and it's 7 episodes in right now. I totally recommend giving it a watch. You mentioned that it was all available on Crunchyroll, right?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. And yeah, so the Rascal Doesn't Dream series, like if you haven't seen season one, because you're afraid that someone in your family might be scoffing at you for watching a bunny girl on screen, don't worry, she's not in it for the entire time. She's only in it for like the first little arc, as far in the bunny girl outfit. So whether that's to your benefit or to your dismay, but the story is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like that part, like, give a little comment there. That is kind of just to get you in the door. Um, But if you like anime, you like and you're not like if you like anime genuinely, like you like the stories and stuff like that, and the art and stuff, then the rest of it's gonna be able to carry you through to actually watch all of it. But yeah, they try to just get you in the door with the cute girl in the bunny girl suit.
Yeah, and then um all right, so kind of with this is all done. This was Cloverworks, which do a lot of great things. And they're recently doing another fan favorite, which I really recommend, which is the fragrant flower blooms with dignity. And this one just started getting dubbed as well. Um, which I'm liking the dubbed voices. But they're also doing the My Dress Up Darling season. You know, they're
Oh
in
wow,
season
okay,
two right.
it kind of makes
So
sense. Okay,
this,
and now I'm kind of seeing a through line here.
yeah. So they are doing some really good stuff this year for sure. The I think it's the main male voice from My Dress Up Darling is also the same male voice from the fragrant flower that blooms. But I mentioned to you before, like outside recording, they um, they had his excitement toned down, and they just kind of made him a little more flat, a little more harsher. But it works really well, and it's how's that? The main English voice cast for the female lead in the fragrant flower that blooms is is not your usual, but it's still nice. Is the best way to explain it. It's like you kind of expect it to be one of a handful of voices for that character type, uh, and it's not. It's a little bit more. It's a little different, but at the same time, it still suits it pretty well. There's 2 episodes out dubbed, which I'm liking the dubbed as well. That's the one of the manga that I had gotten into a few months back, and there's a lot on that one. There's like 200 something chapters or something on that. So, uh, but I also recommend giving that a watch. So it's one of those things that like Cloverworks is pretty much just crushing it right now. Um, so it's kind of neat to see. I mean, they got the new Bochi and the new Spy Family in their production line in the near future. All right, so now we're gonna get to the kind of the thing that I've been avoiding for a long while, which was K-pop Demon Hunter. They lost me at K, but yeah, it's something that my kid has been literally singing its praises for like a month. Yeah, can't avoid it. Eventually, we just gave in because I actually didn't. This is how little I knew about it. I knew obviously it was some sort of song animation thing. Did not know if it was a movie or a TV show. Just no clue. And so I finally looked this up, and I'm like, all right, I'm tired of hearing a butchered version of half a song.
Mm,
I need to know what I'm actually what my kid's actually getting to, or else it's going to be like years down the road. Like why did your kid turn out this way? It's like where were the parents? Just I just chose to ignore my child. But yeah, it's all right. K-pop Demon Hunter. It's being sponsored or brought to you by Netflix, but it's Sony Animation Productions, so it's the same team that or same company that did Into the Spider Verse. So you can kind of see some of that with their stylization. That not quite 24 frames art style,
mm.
uh, but it's pretty all right. It's like I can see why it's getting all the hype. It makes fun of the genre and of itself pretty well. The music is the music. I mean, if you like the music, then you like the music. If you don't, then you're not. It's not going to move you. It's not going to change you. Change your opinion on it. Um, it looks like a long ass. It's like KDA, like League of Legends music video. Um,
Yeah.
but it has more heart without a doubt. It's funnier. It's meant to be have a lot of comic relief. It's 90 minutes or just around 90 minutes, so it's like short and to the point. Not meant to have much depth outside it's like the main most of the efforts into the intro, and then I feel like the way they kind of speed things up and wrap things up is a little super convenient. Like
Mm,
there was
okay.
that one there was there's the one YouTuber who does the pitch meetings, and one of the catchphrases was like, like, oh, that must be difficult. Like, no, super easy, barely an inconvenience. And at one point during the climactic battle, I turned to my spouse and I said, super easy, barely an inconvenience. Because yeah, it's just like when they're doing a solo campaign and all of a sudden everything just rolls their way without a second thought. Um, and it's just like they're like a somersault away from taking out hordes of dudes and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that was you couldn't get much easier
So
actually.
so
Uh,
there so I don't so since you brought this up, I wanted to save this till later, but so yeah, they're like slicing through hordes of enemies and stuff like that, and jumping, like on trains and up in the air and stuff like that. There's a scene, not at the very end, but like at the main scene just before the very end, where they're trying to, like, two of them are trying to get to the other one, and there's just a crowd of normal people, and they can't go through them. They're like hung up by them, and I was like,
I made the same argument as this. Like, I'm like, you guys can like darn near teleport, or you run super fast, you're super skilled, and you can't like wall run over these people to get to like.
it's
They're
like,
like,
well, they didn't want to reveal their true identity, and these are people, not demons, so they can't just barrel through them. And I'm kind of like,
you could
I
acrobat your way over them without a doubt.
I feel like you just weren't supposed to think about that while that scene was happening. But okay,
Yeah, it's they're conveniently underpowered when the story demands it.
the plot
But all right,
dictates it. Yeah.
yeah.
Otherwise,
So
yeah.
it's actually pretty good. It's funny enough. The the parody of the boy band, the Saja Boys. So for all right, for anyone who doesn't know, the whole concept of this, I'm probably like the last person who didn't know. So that's why I'd be amazed if you didn't. Uh, but the story is that Korea has been making K-pop groups, trio groups, to help seal their songs, or like it's like a siren's call to seal away demons in the underworld, so they don't come out and eat all of us. So for every generation, which I thought it was kind of fun, they show different eras of female groups, like from like the 30s all the way up to, it looks like the last one was like the 90s.
Yeah.
And so this is the new female group to help keep the seal strong, essentially. So this group is called Huntrix. A little on the nose, but they like to hunt demons. So yeah, okay, Huntrix, Roger that. Um, hey, and even Lucas had bad naming conventions. Okay, so you can't just. um, but
It's
anyways,
it's fine.
yeah, it was. The animation style to this is really fun. But like I said, the whole concept is this is their group. They're trying to make this. They're trying to make the big event so they can do a permanent seal called the Golden like Honmun, and the uh, the demon's counterattack is to make a demon boy band, which is pretty funny. It's just like all around, it's pretty good. It's like they even at one point when when one of the demon guys is gloating, he's like, yeah, and then he goes to bounce, and then he slips in a puddle of water, and he almost like face plants. I'm like, yeah, all right, they make all the tense scenes pretty light for the most part.
Yeah,
Uh,
the boy band, the demon boy band, they're so handsome that it's like laughable. Like they don't look like real people. They just look like, I mean, it's all cartoons, it's all CG, but like the girl band, they're good looking, but they're something like realistic about them. I guess because you see them more. But the boy band, they're all just like the light that that they fall into, and the slow motion walking and stuff like that. And then like there's a part where they're like signing autographs, and the guy with the abs, he holds a piece of paper over his belly, and he like etches his abs onto the paper, and then that's like his signature. Oh man, that there's quite a few little spots in this movie that really I thought were really funny, but just the boy band stuff was always at the probably center of the comedy, I would say.
yeah, that, and the of course the as far as mascot characters go, the tiger kind of stole the show
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah,
Or new mascot. I mean, even like I said, cutting the strong tension of wait, creepy demon thing right behind main girl on Roomy on the roof, and all of a sudden it's like super tense, and then this tiger knocks over a potted plant, and then spends the next like 30 seconds trying to pick up the plant.
and
Um,
write it
yeah,
right side up, and can't do it because of its paws. Doesn't really do that.
it's It's silly, it's stupid, it's cute, and that's kind of the crux of the show, like, it is entertaining, it has decent enough songs, it's catchy pop songs, um, it's just funny because it does the thing that I always it always annoyed me with, K-pop and J-pop groups and as a whole, where, like, they'll sing in their native language, and then they'll throw in a handful of, like, English words in the middle of it, and I'm like, I always it just irritates the crap out of me. And now this is just the inverse of that is it's, like, mostly English, I would say, and at any given point, it's at least 50% English, if not more.
Oh yeah.
And then they'll throw in some Korean stuff here and there, which I'm like, "Huh, yep, doesn't work any better." Like,
Yeah,
it's
like
well,
it,
if you like the one, you like the other, but if you don't like it, it's not gonna change you on it.
it comes off as being like they're like singing along like A B C, and then they'll throw in some Korean, and it's like, did I just did what did they say? And it takes me a second to realize, oh, that was Korean in that one part. So it's just it's a little bit jarring, but it's like a nod, you know. It's like the K-pop groups, they're doing a nod to. I mean, everybody learns Korea, or everyone learns English at least a little bit in Korea, so it's kind of like a little cameo in the song, and then they go back to Korean. You know, this is the other way around.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's very much, it's well done. I mean, it's well executed. And even when they make like so that's the thing is they don't make the characters just try to be hard and, good looking all the time. They make them silly, vulnerable, like just comical, abstract at times. Just watching their teeth turn into like shark teeth,
Mhm.
or just having them, even their quote unquote the serious character, a lot of times just go weirdly emotional or like be at one point when they first meet the Sasha boys, Huntrix, like they Rumi gets knocked to the ground and then they're like the main guy goes to pick up looks like he's gonna grab her hand, and then he brushes his shoulder off. Um,
Yeah.
and then, he's like, "Watch yourself." She's like, "Well, watch yourself." And then the girls are like, "They're not even cute." Like, "Ugh, oh,"
They're
they
not.
just start making
She's like, they're not even that cute. Yeah.
yeah, they're just making like coughing, gagging sounds, and it's just like, yeah, like it's a good way to uh you know, humanize your character as opposed to being like a real pop star where you always have to keep the facade, always have to have that prim and proper look 24/7, but it's just like, all right, they make them, decently human that way. Uh yeah, then they do the weird animation stuff where it's just like silly where when they see the guy with the abs for the first time and they go through multiple layers of that joke being like the girls have like the abs in their eyes and then goes from abs to popcorn then to popcorn with butter and then they pop the popcorn pops, and
Well,
it's just
well,
like
the way that the butter gets on there is the guy he flexes and his shirt breaks open, popping the button, and it like flies through the air. And as it's flying through the air, it's like melting. It's like green. It's a green button, and it's melting as it like flies behind, like the melty flies behind it, and then it hits the corn in their eyes and starts to melt. Like it hits the corn in their eyes, turns into butter. It starts to melt, and yeah, it's very creative. It's very stupid, but in a kind of honest, realistic sort of way.
yeah, it's the only thing is I think I really wish just like uh Ken Jeong plays Bobby,
Okay,
their
yeah,
manager.
yeah, I like Ken
And I'm
Jeong.
like, "Oh, I really wish they gave him some manicness to it, like, not over the top obviously not hangover energy, but, like, somewhere, like, halfway between this movie and Community,
Yes,
like
yes.
because I think he would have been great as a more, animated character for sure. I mean, his roles were good, but I just felt like they coulda utilized him just a little bit better.
Like that character is good, and Ken Jeong played it really well. But like Ken Jeong's, to me, like Ken Jeong's home is in like creepy, creepy funny guy, like creepy evil guy.
I can see that, but for me, it's like you can do more with him just being like manic physical comedy,
Yeah, that's true
and so
too.
especially with a cartoon, you could have him go. You can obviously go too far, but like if he was to be way more animated or freaking out, like that, Scooby Doo level kind of, like that kind of energy, and like you could really utilize his vocal range and his just like his scream and his just like, shock and surprise,
Yeah,
his
it's great.
reflexes, like, I think he would animate way better, and so that's one of those things that's like,
There's
all said and done, the movie's solid. It's not there's a lot of conveniently tied up things, and there's also some really easy, uh, gaps, like, you know, the one of the big, you know like, spoiler, um, the one of the big cruxes is, the main girl, Rumi. She's, half demon, and so she's
mm,
trying to keep that from her team, which I'm like, "Oh, okay," and the way they treat everything, I'm like, "Oh, this is just Frozen." Have they not seen Frozen in Korea? I was in Korea when Frozen was playing. That song was everywhere. There's no way they don't know the story of Frozen. But it's just like, "No, no, you have this special thing. You need to hide it. You can't tell anyone. Keep it deep down, very deep." It's like, "All right." They even make fun of it internally with their own thing when they're talking about their old instructor, and they're like they're mocking her voice, and they're like, "Oh no, no, you gotta really hide. You can't let them know your voice is like messed up. Just keep it all a
yeah,
secret."
yeah. I didn't really catch that until you said it, but like how like real K-pop stars are supposed to always keep the facade. And after you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what the movie was like kind of going for. Is like their manager, essentially their trainer, was like, you can't show any weakness. You must always keep up the facade, which is perfect for someone that's in a K-pop group. So that's kind of a it's kind of a poignant little thing there. I was kind of like, so their goal really wasn't to kill all the demons. Their goal was to kill the big bad fire demon, right?
Well, it's not to kill, but it's actually to seal them away, because that's one of the arguments is they're not actually killing them when they hack away at them, they poof into smoke, and
They
then they
just go
kind of
back to the other
and
world.
there's a line or there's a comment in there being like, "Go back to like the underworld where you belong," or something like that. So they're being removed from our plane, and they're supposed to just be sealing them, on the other half. And so that's kind of the goal. Um,
And so
the Yeah, so it's
and
kinda weird that way, but the other thing is just like, all right, I'll stop. I'll let you talk beforehand because I might actually have to get the real big spoiler, so
I think we're about to get into real big spoilers. Like Rumi is half demon, but she doesn't have to eat souls, and so that's why she can continue to live in our world. Um, right?
yes, well, that's the thing is they don't go that's the other thing is they barely touch on the fact that she's half demon, which is sequel bait. Like, okay, we can
Okay.
most definitely talk about her father, like, in the sequel because that's exactly like, they fixed the problem for now. They show her all tatted up, she has the markings, but the, audience does like, normal people who see her don't understand what they're seeing. They just probably a lot of people are gonna get some real tattoos. Uh, and
Yeah.
that's the thing is uh so by the all right, so all spoilers now. Nothing's held back. When they fight the main demon at the end, when what's his face? Jinwoo, the main guy, Jinwoo, the Saja boy guy. He
Abby Saja?
is it just okay?
Is
Is
his
that his
name
name?
Abby?
The
His name's
I just know I'm pretty sure at one point I'm pretty sure I'm like, did they just all name them all like when they would did the baby talk show, like the spicy talk show? They're like Baby Sasha. They had they named them by their what they are like because they I think it was like he lists them on their bib. Yeah,
there's Baby Saja, Romance Saja, Healer Han, that's different. Abby Saja,
yeah,
and
because it's Ab. That's Abby.
oh, so that's different. Okay, that's Abby Saja. Then Jinu is yeah, Anhyo,
Yeah.
Siop. Yeah, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's so they literally that's the only time you get to see their names is during the CC challenge of of that little game show they were playing. And but anyways, so when Jinu dies, when he gets stabbed, his soul enters like technically Rumi's blade or Rumi. Like so I'm like, oh, so she totally eating souls now, right? But then the whole audience like partakes or gives her like so she does like the spirit bomb equivalent.
It's a
Uh,
sacrifice. It doesn't count,
yeah,
Joe.
but the thing is, like, since he doesn't get reincarnated, but like his soul is within her weapon or like his power, so that's part of the people are like, well, his familiars are still around by the end of the movie.
Hmm.
So, like it's you see them on a sign that says comeback, which obviously Huntrick's comeback, which is like okay, well, see all sequel bait, and obviously you have to have the mascot characters come in. But there's the reason why the spirits weren't sealed away, the familiars, was because she has a link to them. So I'm like, all right. I like I said, I think the sequel would be solid too. Of course, the big debates are going to be like, oh yeah, who's her father? How's their relationship work? And I'm like, well, if she's taking souls, if because that's the whole thing is like the lesser demons took the souls but fed it to the king, but she's keeping the souls for herself. So I'm like, is she king blood related? Because that's it feels like that's kind of the thing is she's getting to hold on to him. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Well, it's like I said, it's a silly movie. Has a lot of potential for a sequel. It's funny. It's entertaining. It's catchy. The stupid thing, like what's it? Even Soda Pop, like when they make inside the movie, they're like the Demon King was like, it's like he starts singing the Soda Pop. He's like, it's pretty catchy. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty stupid, but it's pretty funny.
It is,
Uh,
yeah, it is pretty good. I was just want to say, going back to the Ken Jeong thing, there's a part where they're looking at the rankings of all the K-pop bands, and as Huntrix is like falling down, and on the list is one band called SPF 100, and I saw that. I just like, they don't highlight it. They're just like, it's just like right there for you to see it if you happen to look. And when I saw that, I just thought that was so freaking hilarious. That I
it's
had to pause it and laugh for
totally an Asian thing and totally a Korean thing.
yeah.
Considering if you don't know, Korea has Asia in general, but Korea especially has this um affinity to wanting to be as white as possible. Tan is bad.
Yeah.
Um when you go to Hyundai Beach in Busan, it's umbrellas as far as the eye can see because no one likes to actually get suntanned there, and it's the
Yeah.
whole the myth or the thought of old royalty never got to be outside,
Well,
so the
well,
paler the better.
well, that and like, AKB48 and like all these band names that are like this, three letters and a number, and it's just, it's like, okay, you kind of take that at face value. So like SPF 100 just sounds exactly like it would be a Korean band. And also, the other thing about the sunscreen. So it just got me, that one, and the tiger, and then the joke about the like why is the bird always wearing a hat? It's like, well, I made it for the tiger, but the bird keeps stealing it. That was pretty funny. Yeah, it's a good, it kind of, the through line for me, I guess, is, new IP, and this falls in that zone of like new IP. So it makes it a little bit easier to support it. I do think it. I mean, kind of getting to some criticisms is, it is a kids movie. It's got some funny stuff in it. There's a lot of stuff early on and even throughout that's a little bit simplistic, but it's okay. It's so there's some parts where I'm like, yeah, yeah, it's okay. There's kids, fine. You don't have to be so simplistic, but that's what it is. Um, and then I do feel like there's quite a few things with it that are just a little bit fast. It's trying to be brief. It's trying to stay right at 90 minutes or so, so it doesn't lose the audience. But I do feel like it could have used, like, I don't know, 2 more minutes. Like, literally, I'm talking like 120 seconds spread throughout the movie. That would have helped it breathe a little bit more. So I'd like to see that from like a sequel. And yeah, there's a lot of things they could answer. There's a lot of things that are kind of glossed over that would be good to see them kind of go into a bit more. The mother too. I mean, like, because like wait, or that is that her is that her
No,
mother?
her mom. So they clear that in the very opening intro. Her mom died, and so the other bandmate
Right.
of her mom's group is the one who raised her, and then literally in a very publisher fashion, built the group around the one child.
Yes.
So
Yeah. So what we have there is not just the mystery of the father, but a mystery of but the mystery of the mom too. Because it's like, wait, so your mom was like a demon hunter, and she fell in love with a demon, and then your dad's like a demon. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot to unravel there. Um, but yeah, it's the animation style compared to Spider-Man, it's a lot cleaner. Um, that is one thing that I kind of agree with on Spider-Man is like there's it's almost like a image over image sometimes it gets kind of bad where it's like an image over image sort of thing that they have going, and it doesn't make it unwatchable, but it does make me ask what's going on, there. And then this one is a lot less framey. Like there's places where they skip frames, stuff like that, to get it rendered a little bit cheaper, maybe, or a little bit, or to make it snappier. But otherwise, the animation is has a better frame rate, and it's cleaner overall. And and really, I mean, as good as I think like the art direction for Spider-Man, for like the across the whatever uh
Spider Verse.
across the Spider Verse and all that stuff. As good as I think the art direction is for that, um, this movie is prettier. Like the colors are clean and bright and look really nice on like a on an OLED TV. So yeah, that's that. All in all, it was a good movie. I heard that it was good. I was like, okay, it's good, whatever. But then when you said, hey, I just watched this, I'm going to talk about it, I was like, well, I guess I'm going to watch it now. And yeah, I'm glad I did.
The as far as the quality goes compared to the Spider-Man movies, obviously same studio, different directors. Obviously, I think I've said this before on the podcast, but the first Spider-Verse movie I like better as far as visually than the second. Uh, the art style itself is neat and fun, but I just found the second one to be a little too framey, a little too um, edited too harsh. Like
Mhm.
too too it's trying to do the Marvel thing and like the Avengers thing where like the Avengers I always felt was edited too overly so. Like this one, at least there's panning shots with K-pop Demon Hunter. You can instead of cutting from one person to the other, they actually move the camera and you can actually see like the room and you can actually get a better feel of space. I feel like they did a lot of that stuff, cleaner.
Mhm.
Um, so and once again, it's just like they did a good, like yeah, they do sometimes it for a little effect for or like you maybe rendering it cheaper, but also making the dance moves, uh more visually popping. It's like when they're locking into positions, yeah, you cut a couple frames, but then they're literally snapping into position, and it makes it stylized for that. And I'm like, okay, that's more of a music video, edit, and I can see that working to their advantage. Um, this is one of those things that's like it's surprising kind of how it came out of nowhere and it did so well. It deserves a lot of the hype and praise it gets. Uh, and I think this is undoubtedly going to get a sequel where they're going to do more and flush out more things. But uh, if they do more of this and then just tweak it a little bit, yeah, like this is already doing gangbusters, so I can't see the sequel doing any worse.
I mean, like
They'll have to
I,
make
I
it worse.
I don't know I don't know what kind of money it made, but like it seems like just from word of mouth and how much it's like been jammed into my ears like an ice pick. It seems like it is a huge hit. So yeah, I think that you're 100% right. There's going to be another one of these movies.
All right. Well, all in all, K-pop Demon Hunter, a solid recommend. Unless if you absolutely hate K-pop. But even if you do, it's actually still a funny movie and still entertaining. So, still possibly worth a watch. I still recommend it. All right, guys. Now let's see. Nintendo just recently had a direct, and Nick has some news for us on that.
Yeah, so let's go through some other stuff, some quick little announcement things. The first thing is that Slay the Spire 2, that the release date is slipping to March 2026. And they are adamant that it is not because of Silksong. So I just thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, if it was because of Silksong, it probably would have only slipped to like, January at the latest or probably December. But slipping to March 2026, so they can make it better, is what they're saying. I never played Slay the Spire 1. I always heard it was really good. So that's kind of why this just caught my eye. And then there's a little article that I saw kind of it was about Nintendo Ninjas, where some former staff members were talking about um, these guys, these people that work at Nintendo who investigate leaks. And then I didn't get a chance to really uh, read the whole article, but I skimmed through a lot of it. And they also talk about how like that these people are very efficient at their job. They know how to kind of get exactly what they like, ask exactly the questions that they need and get the exact information that they need to figure out who the leaker is. And then uh, they also kind of expounded on how, like, as you know, like when you work at Nintendo for the first party games, that it is that like it's a tight knit group that gets to work on like the first party games, and then like the more secretive and higher profile the project, the fewer and fewer people are in the meeting rooms that you have to meet to talk about the game. So much so that it's like that they said that they wondered how the work would get done, because there's so few people like working on it. So like I don't know that like they didn't say this, but I would imagine there'd be like a Mario or Zelda or whatever um, would get that kind of treatment, at least early on, where it's only a very very few, maybe even just one person who is actually working on the game for a while before it opens up to anybody else, just for security's sake. But like anyway, so um, I thought that was kind of interesting, and just kind of see a little bit behind the curtain and how they do things, because that's pretty much how I would do it if I had games that I really wanted to make sure did not get leaked. And then yeah, so we would go on with the Nintendo Direct. Um, I watched a little bit of this. It kind of skimmed through it. It actually just came out literally like 2 or 3 hours before we started to record, so not too much time to really get after it. A lot of this stuff is stuff that's already out on other platforms, or um, or will be. For example, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. It's coming out early next year. Um, just kind of stuff like that, like Hades 2. There are some things that I did find. One thing I found to be kind of funny, interesting, and another thing that I did find to be very interesting. But some of the things that are going to apply to more people overall, is they did announce a new Super Mario Galaxy movie coming in April 2026. And they gave us a tiny little teaser trailer, probably about a minute long. It doesn't really show much of anything, just kind of an announcement that, hey, this is happening. So yeah, there's that. And then um,
Yeah, that
the,
one's done by Illumination Studio again. So the same guys who do Minions, who did the last Mario movie. So it's the same. You can expect the same quality from that. Um, Hopefully, a better story.
yeah, see, I started to watch the first one, and I knew from the previews, or I could guess from the previews, kind of how it was going to be, and it was just too much of a kids movie for me. I have no doubt there's probably some adult jokes in there and stuff, but it was pretty on. I think I got to the part where they introduce Luigi, and by then I was like, I'm gonna watch this later, and I just never went back to it. So yeah, I'm not really gonna hold out hope for this movie being something that I really want to watch, but it is coming. And then they're re-releasing Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 on the Switch and Switch 2. That was kind of one of the great sadnesses of the Mario family, is that those games were kind of stranded on the Wii or Wii U. So now they're going to be coming, so you can play those if you didn't get a chance to. Mario Tennis Fever looks pretty cool. I remember playing some Mario Tennis back in the day. Didn't see too much of this, but it looks nice at least. And yeah, so there's quite a few other things. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book looks pretty good. Looks like kind of like a kid's game. Um, Anything else that you want to discuss before we get to the first bolded item?
Um, Not necessarily. I once again, I'm kind of stepped back from Nintendo. Wipe my hands from them. It's just like their their current the current way they have their stuff set up. I'm like, yeah, I'll wait. I'm gonna wait for that new. I'm gonna wait a couple years down the road for that Switch 2 OLED to come out,
That
and then that might actually twist my arm enough. Uh, Either that or until my kids start screaming that they really want the Switch 2. Uh, until then, like, but hopefully I'll just be able to persuade them with like first person shooter or something. I don't know. Some classic Doom. Here, shoot some demons. I don't know. It's like K-pop Demon Hunter, but with guns. Yeah.
I mean, by then, Sony might have their handheld released, and then you can introduce your children to some good games. That you know
That new Kingdom Hearts goodness that'll come
that
out
new
eventually.
Kingdom Hearts, yeah, like Kingdom Hearts, Kingdom Hearts 3.1.113846XJ220. Um,
They should just make it pi, and then every new reiteration just add another.
just had a digit. Oh my gosh. Trick kids into memorizing digits of pi. Gosh, that is sick. So anyway, uh so something that did kind of make me giggle a little bit inside is that Nintendo is re-releasing the Virtual Boy. Um and so if you weren't alive at the time, this was like a red screen. So like think of original Game Boy, but instead it's like black and red instead of green and darker green. Um, and it's a weird little attempt at VR kind of. I actually never got to use one of these. But basically, it sits on a tripod, and you put your eyes into these like viewfinders, and then that's how you play the game. Well, they are re-releasing that, but they're making it so you can just install your Switch right into like the visor, um, and then it feeds, I guess, the goggles or whatever, and yeah, you can play Virtual Boy games, and yeah, so. I was like, huh, okay, they good on them for bringing this back and finding a way to make a few more bucks off of the Virtual Boy, which did not sell very well at all back when it was released in the first place.
Yeah, so the original Virtual Boy is very much that, you know, it was neat concept, but it wasn't really great execution. It's one of their historically the biggest flops they've had. But now they're making it so into a Labo configuration.
Yeah,
If you
pretty
remember
much.
Labo on the Switch, where you took a bunch of cardboard and it was a neat arts and crafts things for kids, and then once you're done with it, you kind of just tossed it.
Mm.
So it's I don't know. No one's going to want to play the Switch in a cardboard box pressed up to their face and try to play like that. I just don't. So then you're gonna have to put your head on your chin on your kitchen table and have this thing elevated, and then just
Well, if you watch it, like it's it, you know, it's on a stand, so I guess you place it on a desk, and then you bring your eyes up to it. But since the controller is is Bluetooth, you take that off, and then you just put the screen junk in the Virtual Boy, um, and then you play the
Visuals that I saw were like because there was 2 different ones. There's the ones with the, like, what looked like the authentic, Virtual Boy, but then holding the Joy-Con controllers together. And
yeah.
I'm like, "That's the way the original one was," and it's showing, like, a plastic, properly molded, thing, and then the other is just the cardboard thing with the 2 lenses in it. So I'm like, "I
Uh,
think
the
it's a
the
bait and switch," because I
uh,
didn't see the actual stand, unless if they're, "Oh, okay, they are selling a proper clamshell. They are selling a proper a fixed thing. Okay, that makes more sense then. But it's just like when I saw the cardboard bit, I'm like, wait, you're seriously just gonna let people labo this? Because that didn't work out with the last 3D event with the labo either. Because they did have that kind of thing.
yeah.
So all right,
This
it's a
one
collector's
looks.
item.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, or that's what I was going to bring up that you brought that you let me know about or said prior to us recording is that really, I mean, that kind of piqued my interest the most is buying this as a collector's item, and I'm not going to do that, but because I looked at this and I was like I mean, good on them, but I have no reason to buy this. But if I was more of a Nintendo fanboy, then yeah, I would buy this as like a collector's item and just probably just keep it wrapped up. Maybe take it out once, see what it's like, and then just put it away. Um, but and just have it as like a trophy or something or a relic of a bygone time. Yeah. So there's that, and then they do a little bit more on Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. There's a motorcycle in it, so that's cool. I guess. And then they list a whole
The
bunch.
open world bit to it looked like it reminded me of that the last Sonic Frontiers game or whatever,
Oh yeah,
or because it was like, all said and done, the Sonic game turned out better than people were expecting, but just having when they're showing you driving in the open world bit, it was just this bland desert, and it just was not very convincing. Like, you mentioned it just looks old, just straight from the box. I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, it does look kind of dated, but having just these bland textures just didn't help it at all. And then when they showed the actual shooting and stuff like that, I'm like, it's hard for me to get hyped for something that has been they've been hinting at this for this long. And for me, it's just like it reminds me of the footage from like Halo 2 and Halo 3, like just and how I remember as a kid playing Halo. That's kind of what it looks like. It's like, granted in reality it doesn't look as good, but I'm like no, this just reminds me of Halo back in the day, but now it's Metroid, and I I have zero excitement for Metroid Prime 4.
yeah. This is one of those things where gameplay is king, and if it comes out and people are like, man, the gameplay is so freaking good, it's so freaking good, then that will help me get over the hump and maybe get me interested again in it again. But yeah, as of now, what I saw from their showcase or whatever a while ago just made me go, yeah, this is not really this isn't the system seller for me yet. I haven't seen the system seller for Nintendo yet. What we're going to talk about last on this list is pretty close, and we'll see by the time it comes out whether or not I have a Switch by then, um, and whether and if I don't at that time, I might go for it. But for now, Metroid Prime 4 just it's not moving the needle for me. Um, and besides that, they listed uh, some more games. Pokemon Pokopia is coming out, and then Pokemon. I think it's Z to A, right? It's not A to Z. Or is it Z to A?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, uh, Pokemon Z Day Legends Mega Dimension. That's a new Pokemon game coming. Um, Danganronpa 2 by 2. It's like a re-release of Danganronpa 2, but it has like extra story in it. It has like an extra. I think it's more than just extra story. I think there's like extra gameplay or something like that kind of going on there. So I could be wrong, but it's something more than just the original. And then a lot of this other
That's
stuff.
they've been doing this that's like the Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Championship Edition crap, where it's just like, instead of coming out with a sequel, we're just gonna keep on reiterating off these, and then just making it worth your while to buy it, give you a little bit of nugget of extra stuff. I mean, Danganronpa was fun for what it was, and if you're new to the detective murder psychotic genre, then it's a fun ride. Um, 'Cause Danganronpa was just like, let's solve the mystery of why we're here, and also everyone's getting murdered in gruesome ways. Hopefully you can figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, it's like, well, look, we can re-release the game and put in a little bit of extra content, and then people who bought the game once, we got like, let's say we got $60 from them the first time, we can sell it again for maybe like 60 because it has new content, or 50 or something like that, and some people buy it or whatever, or the people who didn't buy it before will buy it now. We're basically doing like $10 worth of work to make 40 or $50 worth of profit. So I kind of get it. It just still, it's just kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth, I'll say. Um, so yeah, there's there's a Dragon Quest VII reimagined. So this is sort of like a Dragon Quest VII, but it's like a remake where they kind of give it a more than just an upres. It seems like, I don't know too much about it, but it seems like they've re CG'd a lot of the characters and stuff like that. So there's that, and then they've got Dragon Quest One and Two HD remake coming as well. Two Point Museum looked kind of interesting, so I'll keep an eye on that as well. Um, but I don't actually remember why. Uh, yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
the guys do the 2 Point Hospital and Campus. Uh, they're usually pretty good if you like the whole um, building aspect or like setting up. It's like it's they're fun, they're quirky. There's not really much else to them, but it's a good time sink.
Yeah.
It's better than Sims in my opinion.
There was also a talking flower toy. It's like a figurine, and you press a button and it says things. And I thought that was very odd. And also when they were like talking about it, they had down at the bottom in tiny little letters a little disclaimer. It said not interactive product. And I was like, I think I see what they mean, but you do press a button and it does talk. So it's interactive that way, but I guess as like a video game, it's not interactive. That's what they mean. Anyway, um, so yeah, kind of a lot of things like that, but they saved the best for last, and that is they showed a trailer for the new Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, and this looks like the new mainline Fire Emblem game. Um, Fire Emblem Fire Emblem Three Houses is the last one that I count as like the mainline games. That one was widely considered to be game of the year by, well, maybe not widely, but by a lot of people. It was considered to be game of the year. A lot of people liked it. There's been some other Fire Emblem games that have come since then, but they haven't been like the full weight of the studio, like the flagship game essentially. But this one looks like it's going to be that. So this guy has me pretty excited. I'm kind of they showed a little bit of gameplay, like a little bit of tactics and stuff in there. It does look pretty crisp and new and good. So I was like, okay. Not sure how the story's gonna go. Saw some tropey characters in there, but you know, probably not the end of the world. But otherwise, yeah, I was kind of pleasantly surprised to see. I'd actually been wondering when Fire Emblem was gonna make a comeback, because it's been a long time. I mean, Fire Emblem Three Houses came out way before COVID, right? Like came out a long time ago, right?
It came out or like early COVID,
Okay.
but you know they've made a couple entries into it. One of which was like a spinoff of Three Houses, telling slightly different story.
Yeah.
No, Three Houses was a lot of fun. I put a lot of time into it. Never got the complete ending or the true ending, but yeah, it was a neat thing. It'll be nice to see what they do to improve upon that formula, that system, because they had a lot of good interactions, good animation, good cutscenes. The fighting was true to form, and it's just a lot of people like the relationship building in that game. So I'm kind of curious to see them go more into that because they kind of stepped away from it a little bit, or it was a little bit weirder because the Three Houses, you're a professor or you're an instructor at their school, and then
Mm,
there's a
it's a problem.
slight spoiler, a time jump. So
Okay.
therefore, everyone becomes a little older. So therefore, it makes it more okay. But it doesn't really dive into like beforehand, like you've had kids and stuff like that in some of the Fire Emblem games. So,
Mm,
um, yeah, it'll be. I'm kind of curious to see how they play with it. Uh, there, there's speculation that one of the characters at the very end could be a character from Fire Emblem Three Houses for the trailer of the newest one. So they're like, is it or is it not? Like, I think it's just I don't mind if it's just completely separate. Just make it a brand new thing. But if you want to try to entangle it into the same universe, then so be it. I don't really have a stake in it one way or the other. Uh, but yeah, Fire Emblem games have always been really fun. There's not enough solid tactics games out there, but it's also a genre that takes a lot of time, a
mm.
lot of patience, and I feel like most people just don't have that anymore. So it's almost like RTS in the scope of I think it's a dying like genre. So there's only one or two games that do it, and then they're like that's why games like Advance Wars, we never really got to see a sequel from that. We'll see spiritual successors and stuff like that, but they'll never like it's very hard for a new entry to get to someone new to dive into it and make it a franchise. And this is like the only existing franchise that we can reliably count on. Even though it comes out once in a great while.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's pretty true. Yeah, so I'm excited about it, especially since the last tactics game that I played had really good tactics, and everything else was not to my not to my liking. Um, so yeah, so all in all, a couple good things. Like this is kind of like this Nintendo Direct felt to me like, hey, the games are coming. The games are coming. They're not all brand new. They're not all first party. They're not all uh, great third party games, but there's a lot of good games that you're going to be able to play. And if Nintendo Switch is, if the Switch 2 is your only system, then you will have games to play. Yeah, so the games are coming.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah, it is good to know because it has been a slow release for Switch 2 because, everyone's complaining about only having really Mario Kart and then like playing the updated versions of your older games, which is kind of Nintendo's MO though. I mean, from the Switch one, thanks to the Wii U. Like, the Wii U had a lot of great games early on, but that's because there were a lot of remakes of or like, the Wii U games.
Mm.
So anyways, I don't know. Hopefully, Switch turns it around, get some new good stuff out there, and I hope that despite like Metroid Prime looking not so stellar, I'm hoping it does come out really good because that's been in production hell for a long time, and I fear that there's not a if it doesn't get a lot of interest, then they're just going to kill the franchise. Uh, Even after like Dread came out, and Dread, critically did really well. I'm not sure how it did sales wise, but we haven't seen like you think they'd turn around and make a new Dread, Metroidvania style game, Metroid style game, instead of a Prime. So we haven't seen anything since then, and it's been a while since Dread. We haven't heard anything about a new, uh, you know, Metroid style game in the Dread form. So yeah, it's an interesting situation. Uh, but Nintendo is most definitely acting like they have no problems because they're just suing the people to get all their money instead
Mm.
to fill in that surplus. But yeah, all right, guys. On that downer note, yeah, hopefully, if you're a Nintendo fan, you have some stuff to look forward to. Until then, maybe invest into something else. All right, guys. This has been ADP, episode 143. If you made it to this far, we thank you. And Nick, what are some words of wisdom you have for the people out there today?
Um, if you ever meet anybody that works for Nintendo, um, just make sure that you wink twice at them and tip your hat, even if you don't have a hat on.
All right. Just if you ever make a fake quote about Nintendo and any predictions, just make sure it's labeled with Nick at the end of it, and yeah, being your informant. And there you go. But all right, guys. And this has been ADP. Until next time, y'all take it easy.
Bye.